Thank you, Praveen. Your persuasion, because of your persuasion, I'm here this afternoon. Good afternoon to all the distinguished participants. So in the next 1 hour, you're going to witness and listen to the experts in this domain of green hydrogen coming from various sectors. I had the great privilege of, I'm going to have the great privilege of discussing with these experts. As Praveen introduced, I was former director R&D Indian Oil, and currently I'm working with a new company called AM Green, which is a subsidiary company of one of the renewable energy majors of India, Greenco. So before I make my opening remarks, just 1 or 2 sentences about this new company where I'm currently affiliated to. This new company is an offshoot of the lowest or the most cost-efficient electron that is being produced by Greenco. Today we boast one of the most cost-efficient electricity delivery, renewable electricity delivery anywhere in the world, not only in India. So the renewable energy round the clock, RERTC, with 80% of plant load factor, we can supply at 20 cents flat kilowatt hour per kilowatt hour. That is, it translates to less than $55 per megawatt, continuous basis. That is the underlying thing. So from that position, today we want to migrate to green molecule company. Since we have the most cost-effective green electron, we are going to transform it to green molecule, starting from green hydrogen, green ammonia, green methanol, green caustic soda, and a host of biofuels, including sustainable aviation fluids, second generation ethanol. We have acquired a Finnish company, in fact a technology provider called Chempolis, at least some of you might be knowing, which converts lignocellulosic biomass into ethanol, low carbon intensity ethanol, and various other value-added products. So that is the brief of my current organization. Coming to hydrogen, see, 3 years back, before the National Green Hydrogen Mission Roadmap was unveiled by Government of India, Honorable Prime Minister from the ramparts of Red Fort, in one of his Independence Day speeches, everybody thought that, see, this initial enthusiasm towards hydrogen as the cleanest fuel, such kind of waves have come in the past 2 decades several times. Whether it is going to sustain or whether it is going to ebb like in the past waves, that everybody was very, very, very skeptical. But this time government is so steadfast, because I can say with some certainty and responsibility, because I worked with several committees of MNRE and MOPNG in the run-up to unveiling this mission roadmap and various elements and components of this national mission on green hydrogen. Just to give a recap to each one of you, the National Green Hydrogen Mission seeks to produce 5 million metric ton of green hydrogen every year starting from 2030, making India as one of the green hydrogen exporting hub. And it is envisioning an addition of 125 gigawatts of electrolyzer manufacturing capacity in India. So already several electrolyzer manufacturers, there were none 3 years back. There were none. Let me underline that. There were none before 3 years, but today at least a handful of electrolyzer manufacturers are going to set the shop. my own company, my own current company is having a joint venture with John Cockrell to manufacture pressurized alkaline electrolyzers of 2 gigawatt capacity in southern India. And this mission roadmap is also calculated to mitigate 50 million metric ton of carbon dioxide emissions every year once it starts producing 5 million metric ton of green hydrogen. It is going to tantamount to a saving, foreign exchange saving of 1 lakh crores per annum to the country by substituting the fossil-based crude oil with green hydrogen. And it is going to create 6 lakhs of green jobs in the country. That is the objectives, that is the vision of National Green Hydrogen Mission Roadmap. And what it achieved, it was unveiled, it was first announced by Honorable Prime Minister somewhere in 2021. And in these 3 to 4 years, what has been achieved on this front against those objectives that I have just mentioned to you? 3,000 megawatts of electrolyzer manufacturing contracts were awarded to 15 companies. 8.6 kilotons per annum of green hydrogen production was awarded through SECI, MNRE, through PLI tenders to 18 companies. 7.24 kilotons per annum of green ammonia to fertilizers and many other applications. Again, my company is only one company in the world which has closed the FID, financial investment approval is done, and in Kakinada, the Nagarjuna fertilizers which we acquired is now getting converted into 1 million metric ton of green ammonia. We have already signed the forward contracts to supply to European majors like Unipar, Yara in Japan, and many other European companies, the green ammonia, either for fertilizer applications or to crack back green ammonia to green hydrogen. So our first supply will be starting from Kakinada port to the foreign shores in the year 2027, end of 2027. Right now, 1 million metric ton brownfield plant manufacturing is in rigorous phase of implementation. On the application side, when I was at Indian Oil, I was the first one to procure 15 fuel cell buses manufactured from Tata Motors, which will be running on hydrogen. And today, all the 15 fuel cell buses are running with the hydrogen refueling stations operating. The first and the only for a long period of time is in the premises of Indian Oil R&D at Faridabad. Now we have added one more refueling station at Gujarat refinery Kohli, and this mission roadmap envisions at least 10 hydrogen refueling stations in the country in the next 2 years. And some 50 vehicles, whether it is hydrogen fuel cell buses or hydrogen ICE engines, they all will be enrolled. And 23 projects were awarded to various academia and industry academia partnerships as a part of the research grant under this mission roadmap. I myself convened the production related research proposals. 157 proposals were screened and 23 proposals were awarded already, and they are underway actually for 2 years. So we are very serious. Why I want to give a data-based statement is, this time it is not a flash in the pan kind of enthusiasm. Like many European geographies, India is also very keen, and we see that our import dependence of energy can be really, that whole scenario can be changed if we can exploit this hydrogen, and we can indigenously convert some of our available resources into green hydrogen and bring hydrogen into the mainstream economy. So I think we are extremely serious. The government actions and the progress so far achieved in the last 2 years is witness and testimony to our seriousness as a nation towards green hydrogen. So in this backdrop, in this context, now I would invite each and every panelist, distinguished panelist who are sitting on the dais to initially make some of their opening remarks, but kindly restrict yourself to 3 minutes in your opening remarks. Let me first call Mr. Chandrasekhar on my left.
Good evening. Sir, it's an honor and privilege for me to be in the same panel as you are. We have been watching you from the audience side in many meetings. Now, it's a real pleasure to be with you. You're rightly called the hydrogen man of India, so that, that goes without saying. Sir has given the basis and the brief for the hydrogen mission in India. And we at BPCL are striving hard to reach that. Like Sir said, we have developed the first indigenized designed electrolyzer with bark, and it is made in Bombay in a place called Pratishna here. And this we have successfully demonstrated in the India Energy Week 2 years back, where the Honorable Prime Minister came and saw the electrolyzer working. As an offshoot of that, what we have done now is we have got an acre of land at Kochi, near to the Kochi International Airport. And those of you who are landing at Kochi in the coming days, as you are coming out of the Kochi International Airport, you can see the hydrogen station on the right side, where again, the dream of Prime Minister is taking shape. The indigenized electrolyzer, 500 kilowatt, is in place, and we have space for another 2 more. And from here, we are going to store hydrogen at 500 kg, and we are going to run the fuel cell buses from the airport to the nearest metro, so that we can clock the running time, we can see the performance of the buses, and we can give confidence to the general public that hydrogen is very safe and very efficient fuel. I would like to give an example here that in South Korea, there are more than 250 HRS stations, and the hydrogen buses are getting filled just like a normal petrol bus. And it comes in and goes out, and the stream is continuous. I think the Prime Minister's dream is going to come true in India also. All of us are into making sure that the hydrogen mobility becomes a big success, and BPCL is doing its best to achieve that mission. The second project that is coming in the same place is through the National Hydrogen Mission, as Sir explained. We are going to set up the next hydrogen fueling station at Trivandrum. The Amrit, the government agency in Trivandrum, has given us space. So another electrolyzer is going to come there, and probably there will be a day, sir, when the Cochin-Trivandrum route will be operated with green hydrogen bus by the oil companies. So as far as the hydrogen route with respect to the mobility is concerned, enough work has taken place. Now we have to make sure that how this reaches the common public, because it was the Prime Minister himself who said that when the electrolyzer sits in the home of our sisters in a remote village and it is powered by the solar energy, and you produce hydrogen from there, and when it burns in the kitchen, only then the mission is going to be successful. And we are sure that all of us sitting here have got a role to play in that mission, and we'll make sure that this dream comes true as quickly as possible. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar. And that was a great success story. The Cochin use case and the Cochin experiment was really, it was well thought of. Cochin Kerala government first approached Indian Oil. Finally, it has gone to our sister PSU. So anyway, I'm very happy for this development. Let me now invite the next panelist, Mr. Balaramakrishna, who is riding on a very high crust of success in the hydrogen domain, the engineering major. He's coming from L&T. He has recently tasted the success of winning a competitive bid of IOC for constructing a 10 KTPA hydrogen, green hydrogen production plant. So let's hear from Balaramakrishna.
So, good afternoon. You're able to hear now? Okay. See, my name is Balaramakrishna. I represent Larsen and Toubro Limited. And so obviously Larsen and Toubro is very well known in setting up of manufacturing facilities in refinery, petrochemical sector, fertilizer. So we have a vertical L&T energy under which we do a conventional fossil fuel based businesses. Under the same vertical, we have a new vertical, which is called as a green manufacturing. And obviously, we know that for this country, the reliance, too much reliance on a fossil fuel is obviously not in sync with our economy. So we know, obviously, this green hydrogen and green chemicals is one of the major growth drivers for a country like India. So that's where what you can call it as our domain knowledge in a conventional refining petrochemicals. This knowledge is obviously will be taken to the green chemicals in terms of setting up of the projects and also realizing the vision of our government of almost 5 MMTP of green hydrogen. So one of the major part what we want to tell is that this green hydrogen space is such thing that more and more people have to come. That's one thing which is very, very critical because 5 MMTPA is equivalent to, it's like, even if you take 500, let's say gigawatt of so much of electrolyzer capacity that is required and no individual company can do this. That's why we are very happy to have so many what I can call it as parties and also so many companies entering into this area. And this is something which is a very good sign. And another part, what exactly L&T is planning to do in this business. One part is that our core strength is, let's say, setting up of the projects. So we have the knowledge, we are ready, we will be setting up those projects. Now that's one thing which is very, very critical. So the second part, what you can call it as, so as a part of that first mission, we set up our own first, let's say for one of our manufacturing facility, there is a furnace and we replaced the part of the natural gas with by setting up of a 300 kilowatt electrolyzer in Hazira. So with that, what we did was we operated a 300 kilowatt electrolyzer, connected and substitute part of the natural gas with hydrogen, studied, and also the hydrogen storage has also happened at high pressure. And we had a first cut of expertise in this particular part. That's one part. The second part, what we have done is that to give a solution of green hydrogen derivatives. So we have aligned with an electrolyzer, French-based electrolyzer manufacturing facility called MECFI, and we have set up an electrolyzer facility in Hazira. And it is one of the state-of-art robot manufacturing sort of a systems. And because it is a high precision manufacturing, it can easily get expanded to, let's say, 500 megawatt and to the 1 gigawatt as and when the demand rises. So the entire infrastructure has been built in that. And fortunately, what happened is that pilot plant which we have, it can be a futuristic pilot plant for this new electrolyzer. So you have a electrolyzer manufacturing facility coupled with a pilot plant whereby all the research development facility can happen in situ at the same place. Third part, what we are very clear about is that obviously this green energy comes at a cost. So everyone will tell about you have a $2 per kg of a gray hydrogen. How do I compare? How do I become competitive? That's where it is. So obviously the solution has to be indigenization. There is no other option. Now either you depend on China to bring low cost electrolyzers or you indigenize and with as much high quality that is required. So we have our own indigenization program. We have established an R&D center in Hazira and who is evaluating every component and then study it and it is tested so that one of the major thrust area for our of cost reduction is of indigenization. Obviously, one of the major part which everyone will understand is 70% of the cost of green hydrogen comes from renewable energy. So obviously a lot has to be done on the renewable energy segment, which in the earlier forums, a lot of presentations have happened, and that's something which is a very, very important for us. The second part is that what we have to
You may
put,
like to conclude
okay.
because time is very, very tight.
Right. Okay, so what
Many
we,
panelists are there.
what we have is that L&T is acting more like a developer also. So in that perspective, what we are doing is that we are, because of the expertise we have under the manufacturing facility, we are setting up and on the client's behalf, supply the green hydrogen. So in that context, we have some breakthroughs in, let's say what has been put in IOCL. So one of the major part which we view is that when we talk about green hydrogen, it's very clear that what is the application of that green hydrogen. If it is a mobility, if it is used as an energy substitute, that's one part. The second part is hydrogen as a feedstock, then that's where we feel a lot of value has in terms of ammonia and methanol, downstream chemicals and all.
So we'll come to you, Balram, with few questions on those aspects.
Perfect.
I think please
So-
conclude your opening remarks.
Okay, so the thing is that as we move forward, we'll cover more of these green hydrogen applications. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So let me invite my other PSU major colleague, Mr. Vipul. Mr. Vipul or Dr. Vipul? Vipul Maheshwari is heading the HPCL R&D in Bangalore. So please stick to your time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Balramji has already explained the nitty-gritty of the entire hydrogen ecosystem. Thank you, Ramakumar sir, for making us part of this panel discussion, and thanks to NextGen Chemicals also. If you see hydrogen mobility and the entire ecosystem, this can be just generally divided into three verticals. One is hydrogen generation, one is storage, and another is mobility. So as HPCL R&D and as a HPCL business as a whole, we are taking a stride in all the three verticals to take it forward. Our main motto is technological independence. The right now, whatever has been done or being done is primarily dependent on the technology which is coming from outside, especially the stack which is being made. Either it is getting imported from China, as Mr. Balaram has said, and that we are trying to work out a R&D center on that. And Mr. Chandrasekhar has told that they have developed something with BRC. Our main focus is totally indigenization of the electrolyzer stack, where we are not only a manufacturing hub, we are a technology provider, developed and manufactured in India. So in that direction, our work is going on, and we have developed a AEM electrolyzer at a megawatt scale, which is first in kind in India and probably the world, and we are going to scale up at a megawatt level. That type of electrolyzer technology which we are going to bring very soon, and probably this last IEW we have demonstrated the prototype, and by this IEW we are going to have a full scale plant operating. So that is one thing which is being done. Apart from that, on the mobility side, if you see, we are focusing more on a IC engine type of work, which is having its own distinct advantages. We are putting up a dispensing station at near Visakhapatnam, where it will be 700 bar hydrogen distance, so that we can travel. The truck at one go can travel at least for 300 kilometers. It should not be required to halt for a short duration. So that mobility sector which we are functioning, dispensing station design which is going to take place. In future, if hydrogen mobility is going to go up, hydrogen dispensing station, once again we are going to be dependent on imported. One thing, either it is going to come from China or it is going to come from Europe and India. We are going to indigenize the dispensing station also, so that when the mobility really takes off, we will take the part. The first step, this is not technological development, but this thing. Our Visakhapatnam refinery was first of its kind, where the megawatt level of electrolyzer has been put and being operated. So these are the few things which are being done, but we are determined to take the technological independence on this hydrogen mobility subject. Thank you.
Thank you, Vipul, for giving HPCL initiatives, both on technical front as well as on the implementation of the mission roadmap. Let me now call upon Mr. Yash Gupta, Assistant Vice President, Strategy and Diversification, Gujarat Fluorochemicals.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute honor to be on the same dais with all the esteemed panelists here. So I would like to address the green hydrogen ecosystem by addressing all its pieces of the puzzle. So I would bucket all the pieces into four broad categories. One is the supply side, making green hydrogen at a competitive price. Second would be the demand side pull that would be created, that is needed to be created. Third would be the critical enabling infrastructure. And fourth would be the financing part of it. So coming to the first, making the green hydrogen at a competitive price vis-a-vis all the alternates, there are multiple interventions that would be needed because currently the cost premium that green hydrogen commands over the alternates, gray hydrogen, are pretty steep. And if we need the demand side pull to come, then some critical interventions at the supply side are needed. One is like the innovations that are happening at all the green hydrogen generation technology pathways. So those would keep coming in. So the innovations to build all the electrolysis technologies and all non-electrolysis technologies, those would keep coming in. Then we have the economies of scale. So these are all market-driven interventions that would keep flowing into the ecosystem of the supply side, and they would keep bringing down the costs. One is the electrolysis cost, and second is the renewable energy. So renewable energy interventions would also keep coming in and flowing into the system. The second part, second kind of interventions on the supply side would be the policy and regulatory. So like we have pretty steep GST rates on the electrolyzer components and stacks, currently at 18%. And like renewable energy assets are also commanding a pretty high GST rates, maybe 13.8 or 14% on a composite rate level. So those GST rates, if those are brought down, then it would enable the entire supply side ecosystem. Then we have seen some interventions from the government. Interstate transmission charges have been waived off, but we still have the state level distribution charges and the wheeling charges. So those kind of interventions are required at the supply level. Then from the demand side, we need a demand side pull also, because the supply would come once there is some pull from the demand side as well. So the refining and fertilizers are a particularly major chunk of the demand, contributing more than 95% of the demand in the Indian economy. So some blending requirements, starting with very low blending percentage and keep revising them upwards. So like if we look at the very low hanging fruit from refining perspective, the overall cost of hydrogen in the entire refining segment, that's very low, the cost of hydrogen to the entire end refined products. So if we blend maybe 5% of green hydrogen in the and the remaining 95% can be the high carbon gray hydrogen. So the incremental cost on the overall composite hydrogen and on the overall end products, it would be very minuscule. And once we can keep revising the blending percentages once the initial costs have been accommodated in the end products. So those kind of interventions are required at the demand side.
So
Then
I think you conclude.
so thirdly, on the critical enabling infrastructure, I would like to say on the storage and transportation part. So like on the so we have the supply and demand centers. So one is to co-locate them as much as possible, and secondly, like we have built the infrastructure for all the power and the natural gas networks across the country. So those kind of networks would be needed if the demand and supply centers are remotely located. So that in those investments would come maybe, so that's a lot of investment that are needed from the government side on that level. And fourth is the financing. The capital and operating costs for the setting up the green hydrogen plants are very high. So as much as the weighted average cost of capital for the entire project can be brought down by giving green debt or maybe the equity financing with a lower hurdle rate. So those can be some of the interventions that could be done at the financing part. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll come back, depending on the time, we'll come back on some of these aspects at least to you again. Let me now invite Mr. Samir Saxena, VP Engineering Green Hydrogen Business Renew. Please be brief because we'll come back for discussion, and it's more than our discussion. We'll give some time to the audience to interact with us.
No, sure, Dr. SSP Ramakumar. Thank you very much. Uh, Renew, we are highly committed to decarbonize the world beyond, using the green electrons, moving towards the green molecules as well. We have currently, approximately 15 gigawatt of renewable energy currently in operation. Approximately 5 gigawatt of renewable energy, both solar and wind, in pipeline development. And we expect that to be, operational in the next couple of years. Apart from that, we have full realization about, the hard to abate sector, which needs to be handled in a different manner. And therefore, we are developing our flagship project in Paradeep, Odisha, which is of 300 KTA green ammonia project. And similarly, in the same state of Odisha, a methanol project, keeping an eye on supply to Europe and the Northeast Asia, where there is a increased demand of cleaner fuel to decarbonize the industry. That is basically export-oriented project. But going forward, we are seeing that, there is a domestic demand that is also coming up. Very recent, I would not say recently, about a year back, the SECI came up with a tender to supply green ammonia to the fertilizer plant located on the coastal line of India, who have been mostly, importing fossil-based ammonia for the production of fertilizers. And that needs to be replaced with the green one. That is a great effort put in by the government to create the demand within the domestic market. And we are very, very high on that. Apart from that, the Renew is very actively participating in the green hydrogen supply to the refineries. The tenders have come from 6 refineries. The result of IOCL is already known to you all. We are very aggressively bidding for those projects as well. That apart, we are exploring opportunities for the partnership and the collaboration outside India to increase our footprint. We are working with some of the partners in Europe and Northeast Asia, to develop projects jointly. Very recently, we have been granted, the grant from the Germany, the Federal Ministry of Renewable Energy has come up with a grant, and we qualified for that. It's about $200,000 grant, which is being given to us for the development of the feasibility study for the green methanol project in India. That is a sort of, achievement for us, that we have been out of many have been selected for such kind of study and the grant to, to showcase how the India can come up and what kind of infrastructure is required for supply of green molecules to outside India. So there are many such efforts the Renew is taking to decarbonize the world. And surely as we go along, we will discuss more about the, the hydrogen and the related subjects. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir, for giving the initiatives of your organization. Let me now turn to Mr. Amrit Singh Dio, Senior Managing Director, FTI Consulting. So you can make your opening remarks.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ramakumar. I will try to add beyond what has already been spoken. My name is Amrit Singh Dio. I represent FTI Consulting. It's a global consulting firm. But I also represent the India Hydrogen Alliance, which has members like Reliance, JSW, JSPL, Aramco, Hero Future Energies, Sumitomo, Toubro, who was here earlier in the day, and a few others. It also represents multilateral investors like the European Investment Bank, National Chemicals Lab from the Government of India. So really it's a platform to bring players across the value chain to help develop the ecosystem in India. So let me just add that the transition to green hydrogen is complex and difficult, technically and financially. because it is an industrial project and it's really an infrastructure shift. So the timelines are large. The CapEx requirements are in billions of dollars. Project design has to be large, or as is with any industrial project. The good news is, in March, there were 5 projects, three projects that had been commissioned, green hydrogen projects that had been commissioned in India. 2 beyond the 3 are at FID stage. The 3 projects are JSW, are at the steel plant, the BPCL plant, GAIL, sorry, I should say that's 4, not 3, GAIL, and of course Inox project for Asahi Glass. So those were the projects that are commissioned. And the other 2 that are FID stage, of course, there's the JSPL plant in Angul that should be commissioned by end of the year. And of course, AM Green's massive project that is at FID stage. Why am I talking this? This is very important to recognize. While a lot of projects have been announced, we're talking about specifically projects commissioned, projects at FID stage. Today in India, 2 of them are large steel plants, 1 industrial off-taker at glass manufacturing, 1 merchant model export project. Others are all captive projects. So the business model that will be taken up for green hydrogen adoption will be different for different use cases, different industries, and different, as I said, project developers. The strategies will be different. The refineries, obviously, you've heard from all of them, they are very, very important part of making the ecosystem come alive. The steel sector has already moved ahead. As I mentioned, both JSPL as well as JSW are members of IH2A. They have taken leadership to develop green hydrogen. Even though there is a massive delta in terms of economic viability, they've chosen to absorb that. And this is sort of early adopters who must be recognized along with the other project developers. These sectoral interventions are very important. We've talked about steel. On the refinery side, some steps have been taken. We think there are more steps that can be taken from a demand side. And I know the government is working on that beyond fertilizers. So there's quite a bit of work to be done on the refinery side. And then, of course, on the export side, it'll make it easier to do export offtake agreements if we have global alignment on carbon trading, so that project developers, off-takers in Japan, Singapore, or Europe can claim the carbon credit if that system is there in India. Today, it is not. And that's a big hurdle towards export offtake. I'll stop there. I don't think financing is a problem because there's a lot of funding available.
Come back to you on financing.
Yes.
There is a specific question aimed for you.
Okay, sure.
On financing. Okay, good. Before I invite our other panelists for opening remarks, let me share with you that while formulating the Green Hydrogen Mission Roadmap, government toyed with the idea of bringing out green hydrogen consumption obligation sectorally. And refining sector is the first sector which they earmarked, because hydrogen is the lifeline for the refining. And without hydrogen, you can't really imagine the operation of a refinery. And so people thought of as low as 5%. But somehow government decided otherwise. If we fix the consumption obligation, those players who had the appetite of bringing in more hydrogen consumption, green hydrogen consumption, may stop there and start thinking conservatively. But then their thinking has come around again, and I was given to understand that Government of India, Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas is going to come up finally with GHCO, Green Hydrogen Consumption Obligation for refineries at 20% very soon. Of course, we have to wait and watch for the final regulation from the ministry, followed by fertilizers and followed by steel sector. These are the three sectors, and the transport sector is the last one which they are planning to kickstart the demand. Actually, unless there is no demand, how the prospective producers are going to think of investing in these green projects. So I thought I would add this comment to what Amrit has just mentioned. Let me now invite Daljit Singh, who can give the actual port side story. Let me say that. He represents Antwerp port. So export of hydrogen, movement of hydrogen, transportation of hydrogen. Just take 3 minutes, please.
Great, thank you very much. And I think, Dr. Sir, you rightly mentioned, because I'm slightly on the other side of the body, because I see a lot of PSUs, the producers on the stage here, and it's an honor to be sharing the stage with them. But my infrastructure is completely based in Europe. So we are one of the largest ports in Europe, in fact, the second largest in Europe. And we are our ambition is to become one of the major ports for imports of green molecules into the European market. Now, we are a port authority, so most of the operations in the port and are done by companies that are based in the port area. We give land on concession. It's a landlord model. And most of the companies, including, and Antwerp, if you know, is one of the largest integrated chemical clusters in Europe, with all the big names like BASF, Total, ExxonMobil. In fact, Total has one of the biggest refineries in the port area. All these companies are based in the port area. So what we were looking at is, how do we actually ensure that the next phase of this green transition, how do we make up that infrastructure? How do we ensure that these molecules can be bought into the European market and distributed across to countries like Belgium itself, then Germany, and to Netherlands? So we have been working on that. We've been looking at different countries. We've been working with Chile, Brazil, African countries, Oman, and one of the obvious choices after the green hydrogen mission was announced was India. And we've been working very closely with the Indian companies here, Indian ports, to see how we can actually lay that whole infrastructure in place, so that whenever companies are ready to export, and when, and we rightly said that you need to have some business opportunities for companies to lay this green infrastructure. There are opportunities that we are looking at in Europe, particularly with the industry based in the port area, the German automotive industry, as also some of the refineries that are there. These and transportation obviously is one of the major players. And we and as we go, I'll also talk about what initiatives we've been taking in the port to make sure that we develop this whole infrastructure, not only from the infrastructure point of view, but also from the supply side of it, and also from the offtake side of it. So I'll just leave it to that. I think we'll take further questions.
Yeah. So thank you. So that was the opening round of all the panelists for you, who narrated and enumerated their own initiatives from their respective organizations. In fact, in the run-up to this session, for the past 3-4 days, all the panelists and myself, we were in contact, and we were in continuous discussion, and we had a long list of questions that we wanted to discuss along with this. But I'm seeing the watch. There are 2 more sessions left in this Congress, in this conference, and 15 minutes are left in this session. So it may not be possible to address all those questions, and I may not be going to each and every panelist with a single or 2 questions, but 2-3 questions which are of utmost importance in my personal perception, I will go and ask them. And I would definitely like to give 5 minutes time to at least 2 audience questions from the open house to be addressed to any of our panelists, so that the whole sequence would be meaningful and complete. So my first question, coming from R&D ecosystem, I'm a career R&Dian. So my first question to Chandra and Vipul, both, my 2 PSU colleagues, erstwhile PSU colleagues, I am no more with PSU now, is, you see, we all know, I mean, now it is certain for green hydrogen, today it is the electrolysis pathway. And in electrolysis, there are 3 types of electrolysis pathways: the alkaline, the PEM, and the SOEC. And today, any project that is commissioned anywhere in the world is only alkaline electrolysis. And we all know as R&D scientists what are the merits and demerits of alkaline electrolysis. And there are two pathways which are projected as new kids on the block, which can address the challenges of alkaline electrolysis pathway. Now the whole world has taken for alkaline electrolysis to produce green hydrogen. Chandra and Vipul, please tell us what is happening to those new kits. The new kits are AEM, anion exchange membrane electrolysis, and membraneless electrolysis. I think both of them are working on these areas, I know. That's why I want to first give this question to these two for the benefit of the audience.
Yep, maybe I will take this first.
Be brief in your
Yeah, I'm going to be brief. I have touched the subject. Actually, these kits are getting matured now. At least on AEM electrolyzer side, we ourselves has taken the initiative and we are developed it, and which is at a maturity level. Right now, the electrolyzer which has been developed at AEM is a megawatt level. We have already demonstrated 250 kilowatt at lab, and 1 megawatt equivalent stack is being developed. And the AEM comes with a distinct advantage of a polymer membrane being used, and being it is purity of the hydrogen which is coming out is almost directly from the electrolyzer is 99.5%, which removes the requirement of deoxo unit, as well as we can have the current density which has been achieved with this almost 0.7 to 0.9, which is comparatively much lesser in the case of alkaline electrolyzer. And the cost of the production has come down, the electricity consumption has been come down to 49.5 kilowatt per kg hour, which is at the lowest of the electrolyzer. Probably I can just add one or two more numbers. It is being operated at almost 5% KOH, and which is compared to the 30% alkaline KOH concentration, which is very corrosive. So, and along with that, the capex of the stack itself can come down by 30%. So this new kit in the block is very promising. It reduces your OPEX by almost 15%, reduce your capex by 30%. So probably going forward with the light which L&T has shown with the optimum hydrogen generation which they have quoted, this is going to be a next big step towards that. This is one thing. Yeah. Yeah, Chandra, I will pass on. Membrane kit is growing. It is still going to take time.
Yeah, and let me also add to what Vipul just mentioned to you. MNRE, through MNRE, we have commissioned at least 5 research proposals to further improve the performance of these AEM, and especially in terms of the development of electrocatalysts. All said and done, for any electrolysis pathway, what makes the difference is the electrocatalyst. And how less is the PGM material in that, precious group of metal material is in that. So we have commissioned at least 5 projects, and some positive outcome out of those 5 projects would further enhance the existing comprehension and the technology maturity of these new pathways. Now over to Chandra.
Thank you, sir. Yes, people, the AEM is at probably TRL 6 or 7. It is slowly getting matured, but more interesting things are happening in the membrane-less electrolyzer side. BPCL is actively working in this area with a startup at Bangalore. It is giving good results, particularly in the area of energy consumption, sir, because the evaluation part, when it comes to 1 kg of hydrogen production, how much electricity you actually consume, that we are getting good results from the membrane-less ones.
And this is in the alkaline route itself.
Yes.
Not
alkaline.
deviating from the alkaline.
Not deviating from the alkaline itself, but we are going ahead with this. And we expect that some amount of TRL increase to 6 or 7 may come by the end of the year, sir.
You are going for a 20 megawatt in your R&D center.
Yes. Yeah. Another area where we are working is that leave everything, but produce hydrogen by some other means. That also we are trying. We are trying various options, various electrical options, and including, there is a technology now coming out with sunlight also. When you pass sunlight through a medium, it splits water. So those are also being tried now, but these are all in the very lower stages. But the path is very bright, sir.
Yeah, so let me also say from my previous assignment at Indian Oil, we were the one who pursued biomass gasification as one of the green hydrogen production pathway, apart from the electrolysis, and I was the one who vociferously worked to include Indian green hydrogen definition, the biomass pathways. I take a lot of pride in saying this, that ours is the only country in the world which recognizes biomass pathways for green hydrogen production. We have defined in such a way that whatever CO2 that comes out of biomass pathways is to be treated as a CO2 in circularity, CO2 in looping, so it should not be counted as CO2 emissions. And that's how that 2 kg CO2 gram equivalent per kg of hydrogen definition of Indian green hydrogen will still be valid for biomass pathways. Ours is the only country. Europe never recognizes biomass. But biomass is a very rich and precious, valuable resource readily available in our country. And even if they don't accept, we said that our ministry categorically mentioned, both the ministries, Ministry of Petroleum and Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, clearly took a decision that even if it is not going to be an export quality or export oriented green hydrogen, even for indigenous consumption, this would be treated as a green hydrogen. Now, I'll just turn to one more compelling question. Well, Amrit, I overheard in his opening remarks, financing is no problem. But please tell to the audience, still financing is a big deal for many industries, whether large industries or small scale industries or medium scale industries. What is the extent of green financing for these green hydrogen projects? How easily it is available? Just take 1 or 2 minutes and tell us something about the green financing.
Sure. So I will thank you for the question. I will just repeat what we have heard from the investors. So EIB, which is a multilateral funding agency, has committed €1 billion to India for green hydrogen projects alone, for public sector projects. This was announced 3 years back. And then, of course, there has been World Bank, which has allocated $3 billion, not only for green hydrogen, but a good proportion of that is towards green hydrogen projects. So our question to the investors, and not just these two, but also to some of the private equity investors for private projects, was why hasn't more money flown into projects? And the one question, one response unanimous that we got was, where are the high quality projects? So investors, both multilateral funding agencies, which will give concessional credit and are ready, they want FID stage projects of scale with obviously offtake locked in, both captive projects like the ones we spoke about, as well as export merchant model projects that are there domestically as well as for exports. So that is where the challenge is. I think India has done a very good job of trying to get more clean energy finance, finance to India. A lot of that has got funneled towards green hydrogen. So I think that is something that is commendable work from the government side. But now we have a situation where a significant amount of funding is available. We did some simple math and added up. We might even have even more than what was available through the IRA fund, which has now been pulled back, the US, for this.
That's very encouraging, and at least one need not really worry too much on the financing part of it. Now, one compelling question as a part of the panel discussion is RE/RTC, and all the panelists have alluded to the fact that in the green hydrogen production cost, 70% is renewable electricity. And the MNRE roadmap and all countries actually uh, focus on the fact that RE-RTC, but with additionality factor. There is an additionality factor. That means for green hydrogen production, you need to create a fresh RE generating capacity. So Samir and Yash are the most qualified people on the panel. So what is your take? How we are dealing with this? Many projects have been commissioned and many more are in the pipeline. And obviously the renewable electricity is being used for, is going to be used for these projects if they have to qualify for green hydrogen definition, quote unquote. So what are you are one of the leading renewable power companies. So what is your take on this?
Sure, no, thank you very much, Doctor. See, the fact remains that, as you rightly mentioned, that the major portion of the levelized cost of hydrogen comes from the power. It is 60 to 70% that goes into the renewable power side. And when you are making an investment for a green hydrogen project, you would wish to have the maximum utilization of your electrolyzer, and for that purpose you need the power on a continuous basis. And I can tell you fact, we being in a renewable energy company, that as the days are passing, we are finding that the wind resources are getting day by day very limited. The kind of the CUF we used to get in earlier time is no more available. It is very surprising, maybe because of the climatic changes. But at the same time, there are technological evolution happening, which are supporting in a way. One such evolution which is happening is on the battery side. The prices of batteries are crashing day by day, I would say. There was a time when the battery was like $340 a kilowatt. Now it has gone as low as $80, right? Which is a phenomenal change in pricing. Apart from that, there has been a lot of push.
Samir, I'm tempted to ask as R&D scientist, so when you say battery chemistry, is still lithium going to rule the roost for RE storage, or are there any new chemistries?
No, as of now, I think Leon is the only solution available. There are other technologies which are, coming up, but I think the kind of reliability you are talking about, if you are putting up a project right now and you can't wait for another couple of years, probably you have to rely on the Leon because they are proven.
But what about PSP versus battery?
Yeah. So
PSP, for the benefit of audience, is pump storage hydro projects for storage of renewable electricity.
Yeah. So, yeah, very pertinent question here. So PSP is something, which has started attracting everybody because we have resources, number one. Number two, people have been thinking that, when you need RE-RTC, PSP can make all sense. There are certain caveats here. The construction time is pretty large. If you are starting project today, probably waiting for 5 to 6 years will be too long a period for a hydrogen project, right? By then, probably you will lose the first mover advantage. But I think both battery and the PSP together probably can make a case which is more attractive in a way.
Yes, any quick comments from your side? Because you were the one who said that you would like to take up this question.
Yes. So I think this additionality clause and regulation, what it does to the green hydrogen supply side is that it increases the risk profile of the project. So the government is also not wrong from its perspective. It wants additionality. Additionality basically means the green hydrogen producer has to invest in new renewable energy generation assets, and those assets can only be used to power the electrolysis process and produce a green hydrogen. It cannot take the renewable power from the grid because it is coming from the perspective that they have decarbonized the grid for the end users. So the green power that is flowing through the grid, it has to be directly used by the end user. And it should not be used for the green hydrogen process production, because there is an production loss in the green hydrogen process, and eventually it's not a very efficient process. So eventually certain new renewable energy assets should be set up, and that is where the additionality clause comes into the picture for green hydrogen production. So what it does is it increases the capex of the entire green hydrogen production. It increases the risk profile. So, but it can't be done away with. It is there to stay, and it will need to be addressed appropriately. So apart from green additionality clause, we have also seen much stringent regulations in EU's Renewable Energy Directive Part 2 and US Inflation Reduction Act. We have seen temporal correlation and geographical correlation. I think those have been much stringent regulations for green hydrogen production industry. Temporal correlation, whether it's hourly or monthly, it basically says that on an hourly or monthly basis, whatever the renewable energy is produced, it has to be used within the same hour, within the same month for the green hydrogen production to the electrolysis process. And geographical correlation says the renewable energy assets and the electrolysis assets have to be co-located. So just quickly, one more thing. So when we look at the levelized cost of hydrogen, so we look at the renewable energy capex, we look at the electrolyzer capex, we look at the balance of green hydrogen production. What about the operating cost? Because if you calculate levelized cost of hydrogen over a 18 to 20 year period, we miss a bigger lever to reduce the levelized cost of hydrogen, which is the capacity factor. So basically, when you take into consideration the hourly correlation, so which is very, very stringent to meet compared to the monthly correlation. So hourly correlation, what it does is, it doesn't give the electrolysis a lot of operating hours, because if you don't use the renewable energy power within the same
Yash, I think it is too complex to be explained in such a short notice. There is a lot of variance in various geographies. Ours is 1 month, Indian, whereas there are countries which are 15 minutes of reconciliation. Just 15 minutes. So I think we'll leave it at that, because if any member in the audience is interested, he can discuss with you offline. So Praveen, I'll take 5 more minutes, because I want to give chance to audience to speak at least 1 or 2 questions. But before I open up the house for 2 questions strictly to the audience, my last teasing question to L&T is that there is 128 KTPA of Indian refinery tenders are in the pipeline. Where do you think from current $4, roughly $4 cost that has been discovered, where do you stop? Or where it is going to stop? Let me not point it out to you, but where is it going to stop? Are we really going to achieve $2 or 111 formula? The famous 111 formula. That is $1, 1 kg in 1 decade. In 1 decade.
See, I think let us put it a very, very small part. Today's numbers, what we got, close to 4, can be easily lowered. It's not a problem, because it is the scale that is required. Once you achieve a particular scale of manufacturing and indigenization and the efficiency improvements. Now here, one of the major part that was told indirectly is by the various parties that it is the variability that increases the cost of that electrolyzer. You are sizing the electrolyzer for energy, which is hardly available. Now, if you want to size the electrolyzer big and start storing it, the storage cost that starts increasing. So once you have a reliable round-the-clock electricity available, okay, and obviously we can bring this to very close. And another angle which is we are working stringently is that how there is a production line and there is a usage line. Obviously, there is a mismatch between the production and usage, because all production will not go to usage. Then obviously you will not get. Then
No, but that will not happen in refining. The way it is produced, it is used.
So how will you store it? Now we are coming out with some innovative solutions. Partly will go to compression, partly in a liquefied, and various models are getting evolved, which in my view, it will be a shock to us. Maybe another 2 years when we sit here, we'll be touching a very, very uniquely low figures. That's what we are aiming to become.
So you haven't told the figure. Finally.
Let's wait. Let's keep that suspense. And it is something like this. I'm just trying to tell is that the cost is not linked with the actual. How efficiently you utilize the value chain. So you have an investment, you have an usage, but this is fluctuating. Now you need to make the fluctuation model.
Balram, thank you very much for these insights and congratulations once again that you're the first one to win a competitive bid for green hydrogen and really discovered and Honorable Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas also very, very proudly he announced that India is the first one to discover the price of green hydrogen in the current ecosystem, and it is going to improve from here, but it is not going to be escalated. So that's the eternal hope that it holds for all of us. So now let me strictly open the house for two very interesting questions from the audience. Only two, because there are two more sessions and many of us have to catch the flight also. So two questions. Please identify yourself to the audience and then ask your question.
I am Dr. Balu. I'm ex-Dow, ex-Savik. You talked about various ways to get the green hydrogen, like electrolysis, including biomass. My question is related to the biogas. Biogas is one source wherein you get natural gas, methane. Again, there is a lot of natural gas which is basically flared. It is either used for syngas production or flared. How about using natural gas or the biogas? By pyrolysis, you can get carbon, highly pure carbon, as well as hydrogen, as one source of green hydrogen. Another question is related to the transportation. And how do you
only one question, please. Let's give it to the others. So I don't know, I'll take this question because if you agree, because at Indian Oil, I think my colleagues are sitting here from the Indian Oil R&D, biomethane can be reformed in the regular steam methane reforming process to produce hydrogen. Normally natural gas is used to produce, that is the gray hydrogen pathway. Natural gas is reformed in the steam methane reforming process, and that's how the refineries are producing all over the world today the gray hydrogen. You change the natural gas, which is a fossil source, to a biomethane, and Indian definition of green hydrogen will allow you to get it qualified as green hydrogen, because whatever CO2 that is going to be produced, 12 kg CO2 would be produced in SMR process per kg of hydrogen production. So if the starting material is biomass, biomethane, then this 12 kg CO2 will be subtracted. It will not be counted. It will not be counted and it will be treated as, so we did that experiment at Indian Oil and to a great success. So this is also a big relief to the refiners, because we have invested so much of capex in boosting the hydrogen production infrastructure through SMR route, and suddenly green hydrogen is going to make them redundant and non-performing asset. So probably this route we might still use SMR, at least in India, not for export purpose to start with, to produce green hydrogen. So in one last question.
Sir, just want to add one point to this pyrolysis of this thing. We at HPCL, as you rightly pointed out, the vertical pyrolysis and the carbon separation and hydrogen making through a catalytic pyrolysis route has been now established, and we call it HCNG, which is hydrogen which will be coming, and if it is associated with the CBG, which will become a carbon neutral as well as water neutral, water negative I will say, carbon negative and water negative this will use electricity for along with in the catalytic form, and the byproduct is carbon which is in a nanotube form and which will fetch a better price otherwise to make the economics viable, otherwise it will not be economically viable. Thank you.
So thank you. Last question.
Good morning. Excellent knowledge, this thing. Rajesh Gera, ex-Reliance, now working as packaging recycling consultant. Question very fast is, are there any studies available either in India or globally on the LCA studies, life cycle analysis, to compare the carbon footprint of the final petrochemical products made by green hydrogen versus normal hydrogen?
They are available. There is no two ways of answering this question. They are available, and the methodologies are also available. The third party certifying agencies are also available throughout the globe.
Okay, thank you.
One last question, since this is not a question, it is simple. Yes, they are available. Only one question, please, at that back. Please pass on the mic to him, and please identify yourself, and we'll close the session here.
Hi, I am Swapnil. I'm from Hygienco.
From?
Hygienco Green Energies. Just diversifying the little question that we are using renewable source from solar and wind for green hydrogen or something. Why there is no focus on the nuclear energy?
Anybody want to take?
Miss, this is, I am from the green hydrogen area and everything, renewable and everything, but that question is that why India is not focusing on the nuclear or pink hydrogen or other hydrogen, which is more, I think, could be a more price.
No, I think your question is very right. In last couple of years,
First of all, you tell him that it is not correct. There is a focus.
No, it's not renewable.
And we are working on small modular reactors.
Okay.
In this country itself. BARC is working on that. DAE is working on that.
No, that is working on the small modular thing,
No,
but
so
not
it
as,
takes some time, no? Nowhere in the world SMR is on a commercial scale available today. So the TRL levels are mid-level TRL levels are there. So focus is there. It is definitely on the radar. Let me say that. So please add.
So I was just saying that when you talk about nuclear plants, so far as India is concerned, you know, it has been always controlled by the government, NPCIL, right? Now, in last couple of years, government has a thought to meet the energy requirements, growing energy requirement to meet with the nuclear also. With that respect to, as Mr. Doctor said, no, SMR has come into the picture. We have a number of nuclear plants which are of 220 megawatt capacity. And, you know, it is very easy for country, you know, to replicate that size again and again, they are not called SMR, they are called BSR. But it is very much possible to modularize them, make to, you know, faster implementation, lower cost, enhance safety. So things are being done at that direction. You might see that in next couple of years, some success on nuclear side as well.
So I know there are many more questions. So let me thank all the panelists for their very, very insightful interventions. I would like to hand it over, even without summarizing, because of the paucity of time, to Praveen back.